This is the fourth video on the JavaScript series for the ASIT JavaScript. Start going in circles there. Yeah, it's the fourth video. A2IT JavaScript. We're going to look at variables and data types. Then we're going to talk briefly about click events, and I'm going to show you click events through the creation of a button clicker game. And you can make that along with me, or you can have a go at it yourself, or you can just watch. It doesn't matter. It does matter. You should do it, but it's up to you how you do it, and that's the important thing. Alright, so variables and data types, I'm not going to spend too long talking about because it's quite a big topic, and also there's a lot of information out there that I'm going to point you in the right direction towards that will explain it much better than I will, because I have a terrible habit of becoming tongue-tied and repeating myself, as I'm sure you're aware if you've gotten this far into the videos. So with that said, I'm going to go back to the object example that we made in the past. So a couple of important things about data types. There are essentially 5 data types we're going to be dealing with in JavaScript, and they can be broken down into subtypes as a programmer, but as far as JavaScript's concerned, and as far as we're concerned at this level, there's 5 that you need to deal with, and only it's worth knowing all of them. I was going to say it's probably worth, you only really need to master 3 of them, but it's worth knowing all of them. So we have here an overview of data types, and the Kevin object again that we are familiar with. There. So first up here we have integer and we have real. In most programming languages there is a distinction between these things. In JavaScript they're just called numbers. They're just treated, and they're treated exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same. Well, yeah, they're treated exactly the same. We have strings, which are text variables, text data types. We have booleans, which are true or false values. In most programming languages, arrays are handled as their own thing, but in JavaScript, an array is handled as an object with numerical parameters instead of named parameters, which I'll show you very briefly in a second, but we will spend more time with arrays and objects in the future. And finally, functions can also be data types. There's also null and undefined, but we won't worry too much about those at this stage. We might need them in the future, but not yet. So, so there are 5 data types, and you can view those if you're working with something you're not familiar with. You can do type of, and then Kevin, for example. And if you run that, you can see Kevin's an object. If you do type of R, you can see arrays are also objects. If you type of func, you can see that is a function, and so on and so forth. We will deal with arrays in more detail in the future. We're not going to get too bogged down on that now. But one thing worth noting, because they are both the same in essence. If we do Kevin square brackets name. Oh, run that. It's exactly the same as doing this. Which this is sort of the array syntax of doing it. So we're looking for the name element of Kevin. With an array, you access individual elements using the syntax, but they're numbered. So arrays are basically objects without names. So this by default is 0. Oh, no dot. If you run that, you'll get 1. Array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is that. Oh, sorry. 8. I can't count. There, cat. And yeah, that's it. So objects and arrays are both objects, but arrays don't have names, whereas objects do. Functions is a data type. I wouldn't worry too much about for our level. You might, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Just be aware that sometimes it could cause problems. So, and if you're not sure, just do a quick console log type of to see what you're dealing with. Oh. And if you see it's a function, it may need parameters, it may need something else, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'm going to give you a link to this in the comments. This is the W3 Schools documentation for JavaScript. It's really, really good, much better than I would describe it, and it gets less confused and forgets where it is less. So generally speaking, it's all here. So you've got variables, and you also have data types. There's also all the other stuff as well. Your textbook, if you use that, will cover a lot of these things, well, sort of mention a lot of these things, but this goes in a lot more detail with examples as well. So it's worth bookmarking the W3 Schools page because it's incredibly useful for all your JavaScript needs. Alright, moving on to click event and the button clicker game. So we'll do both of these things at once so you can actually get coding something. Feel free to get your text editor or get your Dreamweaver open and code along with, or you can watch it, or you can just have a go and then see how I did it. I've started already. Where's Dreamweaver gone? Here. So I've created a title, and that's about it so far. So welcome to my button clicker game. What you're going to create, or what we're going to create, is a game in which you click a button as many times as you can. There's no time limit on it. There's no anything. It's just an endless clicker. Which sounds amazingly fun, I'm sure you'll agree. So, I'm going to add a few things to this just to get started. Going to create a paragraph that will display you have clicked the button 0 times. We're going to want to change this 0. We're going to have to find a way to make it dynamically updated. Use the DOM to dynamically update that. Generally speaking, if you want to update something in a body of text, you're going to use a span. Spans are kind of like divs in that they let you divide up your text. So you have span here and ID equals clicked. So we can access the DOM element clicked to modify this, which will be useful later. We're then going to add in the button, which uses the button tag, just like this. There you go. And our button will say, click me, very Alice in Wonderland-esque message. So we wind up with an application that looks a bit like this. We can save it. File, preview in Chrome, and we have a button that does nothing and a clicker game that is amazing. So we're going to add some script, obviously, to make this work. I'm going to put all my scripts at the bottom. Because we're modifying variables, it's important that the variables are all declared before we do anything with them. If you don't need to modify variables, you can put your scripts at the top, but in this case, I would just put it at the bottom as well once everything is loaded. So we're going to create a variable that stores num of clicks. I like there. And we're going to assign that to 0 because at the start of the game we have not clicked yet. We can then update the clicked. Oh, update clicked with the text content to equals num of clicks. So if we start off at 0, it's going to change nothing, but we could just to test it works. We start at 10. In preview in Chrome, and we have 10 clicks. So I'm getting too many button clickers open now. Alright, so to add a click event, we use functions because you want to be able to do this more than once. So functions let us create blocks of code that can be reused, and every time the function is called, the code will be executed inside. So we're going to create a function, and the function is going to be called clicked. No, we've got one called clicked. Button click. That's a good name for it. It takes no parameters, so you put empty brackets after it, and then you use wiggly brackets to identify that anything in these wiggly brackets is a part of the function. So the button click function, just to test it works, we'll just do a console.log. I've been clicked. Okay. Right, so what we need to make our script do is when this button click is called, this code is carried out. And we want this button click to happen when our button is clicked. So buttons have an attribute included with the button tag called onClick. So when the button is clicked, we want to call button click. Like that. We save that and file preview in Chrome. If you press F12, you can view developer view. If we can view your console and we click the button, it says I've been clicked. I've been clicked, I've been clicked, I've been clicked, I've been clicked, I've been clicked. So it's working, which is a good start. Right, so basically we're going to have to do similar to what we've done before. We're going to modify our DOM and do some minor math so that we update the click every time the button is clicked. So each time the button is clicked, first thing we want to do is increment the number of clicks. So num of clicks is a variable that we have, which equals num of clicks plus 1. So that will add 1 each time we click the button. We then want to access the click element of the thing using click element of the DOM. So we can get this and paste this in, and we're updating the num of clicks. So each time our button is clicked, it should update the number of clicks on the page. And let's test if that works. So file, preview in Chrome, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now you have an amazing game that you can keep clicking forever. Oh. And that's it. We've used a variable to store the number of clicks. We have incremented the value in that variable on a click event, and we have modified the DOM to reflect the new number of clicks. And there you go. Next up, we'll look at some formatting options of how you can use JavaScript to format a document, and then we'll go into some array and object methods. Okay, sorry, that just kind of petered out there. So yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, we'll see you next time.